Hi, everyone. We're just going to get started in just a few minutes. We're just going to wait for a couple more people to trickle in and give some people some time to join. It's your personal office.
Yes.
All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started in case we finish up a little bit early, give you guys all some time back. So welcome, everyone. My name is Noah Kobayashi, and I am the prize lead for the Lab Match Prize, and super excited to have you here. And so kind of today we'll be going a little bit over an overview of the Lab Match Prize, and so that way hopefully helps provide you a little bit more context and help you get your submissions ready. So with that, I want to cover a few housekeeping items to note. The webinar is being recorded and it will be shared on the HeroX platform in the following days. You will be automatically muted upon joining, and please remain muted until we get to the Q&A session if you have a question then. Throughout the webinar and presentation, if you do have a question, please feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. And it should be next to the chat icon as well. And put all of your questions in there, ideally over the chat, just so we have them all in one place. And then use the chat feature to add any comments or share any input. During the Q&A portion, feel free to use the microphone icon to mute and unmute yourself to ask any questions. And again, please remember to keep yourself muted during the presentation and after you've asked your question during the Q&A. If you have any technical issues, please use the chat feature to message Julia directly, and she will help you get that sorted out. And then lastly, you can adjust your audio through the audio settings. And if you're having issues, you can also dial in and listen through your phone, which can be found in the registration confirmation email. So with all of that, let's go through the agenda for today. We'll first hear from the Department of Energy and the Office of Technology Transitions, or commonly known as OTT. We'll also cover a little bit about American Made as a program for those of you who are new. And then we'll jump into a little bit of an overview of the Lab Match Prize, cover some of the identified IP from the national labs for this prize, some specifics about your phase 1 submission, and then also want to take a moment to highlight our power connectors who have joined us on this prize and partnered with us, and then make sure we leave some time at the end for Q&A. So with that, I'll hand it over to Kirsten from OTT.
Great, thank you so much, Noah. I'm just going to do a brief overview of the Office of Technology Transitions, who is overseeing this project on the DOE's behalf, and also the Technology Commercialization Fund. Next slide, please. So it is OTT's statutory mission to expand the commercial impact of the research investments of the department, and that includes the intellectual property and lab developed technologies at the DOE national labs. So therefore, OTT stewards commercialization programs across the department and the DOE labs. And it is one of our core missions to ensure that technology moves from the lab to market, which is one of the purposes of this Lab Match Prize project. And so as OTT, we oversee the delivery of DOE strategic goals for technology commercialization and streamlining access to DOE national labs to foster partnerships with the private sector and to move solutions to market. And one of these commercialization programs is the Technology Commercialization Fund. Next slide, please. The Technology Commercialization Fund was created in 2005 by the Energy Policy Act to help catalyze the agency's research, development, and demonstration of deployment efforts into affordable market-ready energy solutions. One of these technology commercialization programs is this Lab Match Prize. We are very excited that it is one of our projects that we have funded to date, and happy to see so much interest in this prize. That's all. Back to Noah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kirsten. I'll hand it over to Debbie to cover, highlight a little bit about American Made as a program.
Hi, thanks everyone for having me. So yeah, I just wanted to talk through the American Made prize challenges. I think we have another slide we can go to. Thanks. So yeah, the American Made program is basically your fast track to the clean energy revolution. And we definitely use your in a meaningful way there, because we really want you to see your place in the American Made program. And in this case, we want you to come on in and find these wonderful technologies that you would like to take and commercialize and take to the next level. So really, American Made is really incentivizing people just like yourself through prizes and training and teaming and mentoring and support. And we really hope that you're going to be able to get the support that you need through this program based on your needs. So we have a wonderful network that underlays the American Made program. And so hopefully you'll be able to find the resources and the support that you will need to be successful in this journey. I also want to just say that we have tons of other prizes at your disposal. So please take a look at other ones as well that you might be interested in. We have more than $200 million in cash prizes and support that has been supportive of these prizes. Obviously more than 60, I think we're actually near 70 prizes now. And then we have, like I said, these wonderful network supporters that are there to help you be successful. So anyway, this one is just one of them. Please take a look. There's always new ones coming out. Another thing I'll say is that prizes are really, it is your fast track officially, right? Because it is a little bit faster than what you would typically see with other DOE funding opportunities like FOAs or grants and things like that. And really prizes are great because we clearly, you just read the rules, you'll see exactly what we are asking for in each of the phases of a prize. And then you just do it. You look at those rules, you use them very literally and do what we ask in the rules, and then we reward based on the work that you've already completed and done. So instead of like making a contract with the government and then doing the work and then getting paid back later, you're actually doing the work ahead of time, doing an amazing job. And then the government is, recognizing you for that work that you did and then rewarding you with prize money. So it happens, a little bit faster than traditional ways of doing business with the government. And so we're really happy to open up these prizes to new people who have never worked with the DOE or national labs before. So yeah, we hope that you really take this opportunity and do something amazing. So thank you.
Thank you to both Kirsten and Debbie for that. So let's jump into the lab match a little bit more specifically. So first, to kind of provide a little bit of context and kind of at a glance view, this is how we were imagining the timeline for the Lab Match Prize to play out. So obviously we're in phase 1 at the moment, which will close in January of 2024. A few months after that, we will announce winners, and those winners will move on to phase 2, estimated or anticipated about early spring. Then a few months after that, estimating again late summer, phase 2 will close, and we will announce phase 2 winners, and those winners will move into phase 3 in the fall of 2024. And then by spring of 2025, phase 3 will close, and later spring in 2025, we'll make our phase 3 announcements. So jumping into each phases a little bit more specifically, we've got phase 1 commitment first. And in this phase, teams will select the IP that you're intending to commercialize, provide some details about your team and the backgrounds, and then develop, develop a plan of action for commercialization of that IP. 20 teams will be selected as winners. They'll win $2,500 and they'll advance into phase 2. And this, again, the submission deadline for this is January 25th, 2024. So again, those winners will move into phase 2 plan. And in phase 2, teams will develop a more comprehensive commercialization plan that, more descriptively describes your past experiences, highlights very specific plans of action and what your commercialization intentions are. And also in this phase, you'll also start working with the National Lab technology transfer offices on the IP agreements, again, to try and fast track some of that as well. 9 teams will advance from phase 2 and win $30,000 into phase 3. And again, we're anticipating the submission deadline for phase 2 to be late summer of 2024. And then finally, we've got phase 3, which we're calling action. You'll finalize your agreements with the chosen national lab, and you'll start to make significant progress on your commercialization of the IP that you have selected and identified. And then 3 teams from this phase will win $100,000 and continue advancing their IP. And again, submission deadline for this one is estimated to be spring of 2025. So let's jump into some of the laboratory national lab IP that's been identified for this prize. And we'll go ahead and start with Sandia National Labs and their IP as well. So Sandia's broad intellectual property IP portfolio reflects the lab's wide-reaching programs and its dedication to developing technology solutions to the nation's most challenging problems, from screening for nanobodies that can protect against disease-curing viruses to controlling emissions from combustion engines and commodity chemical production. Sandia has technologies that reach a variety of industries and are accessible to both small startups and large enterprises. The selected IP touches popular topics, including renewable energy, technology development, electric vehicles and batteries, health and environmental considerations such as water pollution and limiting dependency on scarce materials. Included in Sandia's IP are tools to reduce system maintenance and overall downtime of PV systems and direct drive wind turbines, technologies that mitigate emissions stemming from direct injection engines, such as diesel or industrial boilers, and hydrocarbon intensive processes for synthesizing ammonia, as well as a device that for transforming waste heat into direct current power for applications needing reliable power in spite of limited physical accessibility. And these technologies really stem from the lab's core missions of deterrence, national and global security, and energy resiliency, and can often be applied to a wide range of uses. So with that, we'll jump into Oak Ridge and their IP that they've selected for this prize. So as the largest Department of Energy Science and Energy laboratory, Oak Ridge National Lab, or ORNL, engages in diverse research activities that support the department's mission of ensuring America's security and prosperity by addressing its energy, environmental, and security challenges. Although Oak Ridge researches and provides support for a variety of industries and applications, for the Lab Match Prize specifically, Oak Ridge has identified 6 pieces of IP ranging from CO2 reduction-related application to vehicles, and that's both traditional internal combustion engines and electric, to improve building materials. So including in this list from Oak Ridge are methods to selectively capture CO2 with high efficiency and lower costs. And that's really suitable for chemical feedstock production or energy production. as well as making buildings more sustainable, either through the use of composites designed to improve the thermal management in buildings, or carbon capture technology that's integrated into a building's heating and cooling systems. And then there's also vehicle technologies such as new membranes for redox flow batteries, novel extrusion methods for high performance and complex shaped magnets, and driveline components and systems to maximize fuel efficiency and operation of platooned vehicles. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we have the National Renewable Energy Lab, or NREL. And NREL is the only federal laboratory dedicated to the research, development, commercialization, and deployment of renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies. Committed to this mission, NREL has identified 5 pieces of IP that are all relating to renewable energy and energy efficiency, spanning from grid and building software to photovoltaics to bio-based solutions for PET plastics. So included in this list is grid software, which is designed to streamline the integration of distributed generation systems into the electrical grid, as well as increase the security of those distributed energy systems. Additionally, NREL provides a building management system that streamlines and optimizes plug load building energy consumption, and a non-contact method for imaging outdoor PV modules, which can be used for checking for damages, monitoring module performance, and tracking cell degradation. And then lastly, NREL has also developed a method for replacing petroleum-based components with bio-based monomers to ensure environmentally friendly end-of-life disposal or recycling for plastics. So hopefully you had a chance to review the selected IP. We do want to note that there is additional IP available from Lab Partnering Service, or LPS. So you can go to any of these links and identify additional IP from NREL, Oak Ridge, or Sandia. If you do decide to select an IP that isn't on the list that I previously mentioned, or that's in the rules document, we would ask that you submit 2 submissions. The first submission being a selecting an IP that is on the list, and then your second submission highlighting your IP that's not on the list. And the reason why we're asking for that is if just in case that your second piece of IP that's not on the list isn't available for licensing from the National Lab, we want to make sure that you still have an opportunity to participate in the prize with one that we know is available and is ready to be commercialized. So I know that was a lot about the IP, so let's kind of jump into a little bit more of the specifics for your phase 1 submission details. So the first thing that we'd ask you to do is to review the national laboratory agreements, and those will be on the Lab Match page on HeroX. Read the agreement for the national lab that you are interested, their IP that you're interested in, and then when you are submitting, you will confirm that you accept the agreement as is. And then also make sure that you read the DOE's Technology Transfer Working Group's licensing guide. It's a great resource for you if you're new to licensing from a national laboratory or licensing in general. It gives a great highlight of different terms and example licenses that you could expect to see from a national lab. So probably a majority of your phase 1 submission will be the cover page and narrative. Cover page is pretty standard: project title, team name, a short description, and highlighting key project members. For key project members, please include the names, the contacts, and links to the professional online profiles, such as LinkedIn, any other partners, and then just the city and state and 9-digit zip code that you're participating from. And again, the bulk of your submission will be your narrative, where you will have 2,500 words and up to 5 supporting images, graphs, or figures to answer the following 3 questions. How is your team qualified for and capable of commercializing laboratory IP? What IP technology solution did you select and why? And what is your plan for commercialization? So judges in this phase and for the narrative will be looking for things such as that you have the past experiences and resources available to successfully commercialize the IP that you have identified and are selecting. You have existing technology that the IP you're selecting complements or it strengthens your current standing, and that your plan of action is clear and it will lead to a successful commercialization of the laboratory IP that you've selected and identified. And if you want to read more about what specifics the judges will be looking for when reviewing your submission, I highly encourage you to read through the rules document to see all the judging criteria for each question and each part of your submission. And that goes for phase 1, 2, and 3. Additionally, in your phase 1 submission, we are asking you to include a PowerPoint slide, and optionally there you can include letters of support or commitment. So for the PowerPoint slide, it's just a single slide that provides an intro to the team, which IP you've identified, and your mission and vision of utilizing the selected IP. There's no template for this, so you can present it in any format that you think is best and most professional. But any text should be at least 14-point font, so it's easy to see, and we don't have to, magnify your submission a whole bunch to be able to read everything. And then again, lastly, you can include letters of support or commitment. These are entirely optional, but they may increase your score from the judges, saying that you have third-party or partners ready and willing and able to support you as you commercialize the IP you've identified. And so again, the biggest thing that I can highlight, and before you submit, is to read our rules, and those are posted on HeroX on the Lab Match page. If you've read through the rules and you still have questions, please feel free to reach out to us at labmatch@nrel.gov. We're happy to answer any questions that you might have. And so again, just wanting to highlight that the deadline for phase 1 is January 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Late submissions will not be accepted. And you can submit them at herox.com/labmatch, where you'll be able to find the rules and the rest of the information. And so I also want to take a moment to highlight our power connectors. So if you're new to American Made and the American Made Network, power connectors are these amazing companies that we've partnered with to provide you all with application assistance or mentoring, and we're really excited to have them. And so for this prize specifically, we've got 4 amazing power connectors, and I'll go through and give a little bit of bio about each one. So first we have ADL Ventures, and ADL Ventures is a decarbonization-focused venture development firm that leads at the intersection of entrepreneurs, government agencies, and corporations to scale and advance climate tech innovations in the risk-averse, emissions-heavy legacy sectors of buildings, transportation, and utilities. ADL specializes in providing market research, business plans and strategy, fundraising, human capital, and commercialization support to hundreds of early-stage companies via government and private sector programs. As the lead technology scaling partner of the DOE-funded Advanced Buildings Construction Collaborative and Power Connector for 23 American-made challenges, ADL has provided strategic early and growth stage guidance for dozens of DOE RD&D awardees. So thank you to ADL for joining us on this prize. We also have VentureWell. VentureWell is a nonprofit organization with a mission to cultivate a pipeline of inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs driven to solve the world's biggest challenges and to create lasting impact. VentureWell works directly with a variety of early-stage innovators to help them bring their ideas to market through workshops and training, coaching and mentoring, funding, and awards. You may recognize VentureWell's name from its support in I-Corps, which is the National Science Foundation's program for commercializing research and innovation, or from its multi-stage acceleration program serving early-stage science and tech founders. If you're already a part of NREL and the American Made program, you may recognize VentureWell from its work on different American Made challenges, such as Solar Prize Round 7. And throughout the Solar Prize program, VentureWell has supported energy entrepreneurs with training, coaching, and resource navigation support necessary to test and validate their innovations. Thirdly, we have the University of Arizona Center for Innovation, or UACI. And UACI is a startup incubator that serves scalable science and technology startups with outposts across from the Southern Arizona region. Additionally, UACI is home to the Solar Zone, one of the largest multi-technology demonstration sites at the grid level in the United States. And UACI joined the American Made Network in 2020 and has since been able to support multiple funding opportunities, including Solar Prize rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, SBIR and STTR DOE topics, including the Inclusive Energy Innovation Prize, the CEDO Solar Manufacturing Incubator, CEDO Silicon Solar Manufacturing, and several other CEDO Incubator Program funding opportunities. And currently, UACI is a semi-finalist in our Direct Air Capture Pre-Commercialization EPIC Prize. And then last, and certainly not least, Ensemble is a SBA certified 8A open innovation consultancy. They are a team dedicated to prize challenge management and innovator outreach. Ensemble exists to help federal agencies co-create impactful solutions, connect with talented niche innovators, and advance new technology. Ensemble remains committed to supporting the public sector in its digital transformation. And for them, that means managing high-quality programs, delivering cutting-edge competitions, and engaging innovative audiences with tailored marketing and communications. So thank you to all of our, all 4 of these Power Connectors for joining us and partnering with us on this prize. I also wanted to highlight that we do have a few learning opportunities provided through ADL and VentureWell, and we're really excited to offer you 2 webinars to help you with your submissions and achieve a successful commercialization of the laboratory IP. So the first is from ADL Ventures, and the topic is commercialization guidance, how to go to market through the national labs and corporate partnerships. This will be held on November 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And the link to register for it will be dropped in the chat, but it will also be made available on HeroX. And these slides will be available where you can click on it. This webinar is available to all participants of phase 1. And then secondly, we have another webinar provided by VentureWell, and that topic is developing commercialization plans, and that'll occur in phase 2 and will be open to all phase 2 participants. And the date and time of that one will be announced, but will be made sure to be posted on the HeroX Lab Match page. So make sure you're following that to get those updates and see when that is. So thank you to both ADL Ventures and VentureWell for providing these incredible resources to our competitors. And then, so similar to our upcoming webinars, we're also excited to offer you support from VentureWell and the University of Arizona Center for Innovation in the form of mentoring. Both VentureWell and UACI will be offering weekly office hours and participant signups for application assistance throughout phase 1. And so again, be sure to watch the HeroX page for updates on how to attend these office hours from both of our amazing Power Connectors. So, and then last but not least, should you have any questions or need any further clarification, please feel to contact us at labmatch@nrel.gov. We're here and waiting and happy to answer any questions that you guys might have for participating in this prize, and we look forward to seeing your submissions. So with that, I will open it up to see if there's any questions. And it doesn't look like there's any open questions at the moment, but if anyone else has anything, please feel free to throw it in the Q&A dialog box. Are there page limit? So we did just get a question. Are there page limits for letters of support? Please, sorry, letters of support should be no longer than 1 page. But if you have a few, 3 to 5 or something like that from different parties or partners, you can include those as well. But please limit to 1 page per partner.
No, just so you know too, there's several of us that have been answering questions behind the scenes. So in the answered questions, there's some in there too.
Awesome. So I might highlight some of those as well. And Alec or Debbie, please feel free to jump in as well. So there's a question about why aren't all National Lab IP eligible? And that's a good question. Part of it is that we've partnered specifically with NREL, Sandia, and Oak Ridge for this prize, and they have identified 20 pieces across all 3 labs of IP that they believe that the tech transfer offices believe are ready and sitting and available for commercialization. Other ones that can be found on labpartnering.org might already be licensed in certain fields of use. So they may not exactly be available in the complete sense that these other ones are for you. So that's why we encourage you to submit one application or one submission with an IP that is on the list, and then another one with one that you found from labpartnering.org. Let's see. If we find another IP on the lab partnering website, could we reach out and have it pre-approved before officially submitting? Yes, I don't see a problem with you reaching out to the tech transfer offices to see if a particular piece of IP is available. Again, they may not be able to fully disclose, if someone is licensed, who that is and what fields of use they have. But I'm sure they can definitely work with you to see what might be available and what isn't.
And just adding to that, I agree. I think you could reach out to the tech transfer offices and we can help make those connections too. This IP that we selected is what we would maybe call very close to being ready for commercialization. So what we would be looking for is you to be selecting something that's along those same lines so that it's not, really far away from being commercialized. We want to kind of move quickly here and get things actually moving and commercialized. So as long as the tech is like available, like Noah said, and then also pretty close and ready to being commercialized, I think that could be fair game.
Thank you, Debbie. Can you do licensing options to set up an agreement with the lab rather than a full license agreement? Yes, I think the tech transfer offices are definitely open to that. Again, the main goal of this prize is to get IP commercialized and out there. And so while I think we would like to see a full license agreement be the ideal solution, I think that, again, the tech transfer offices would be open to a licensing option to make sure that it is the right fit for you and that you are able to commercialize it in the way that you're wanting to. What else there is? Does Chat GPT count as plagiarized? I would say most likely we would ask that your submission be written and submitted fully by you and your team and not using something like Chat GPT to answer part of your submission. Will licenses be limited to non-exclusive licenses? Yes, they will be initially limited to a non-exclusive license. If you eventually get into a non-exclusive license, after the prize is over, if you would like to work with your tech transfer office to move it into a fully exclusive license that is between you and the tech transfer office, and they will work with you to sort that out and transition your license accordingly.
There's a question about if they will have access to the inventors and developers of the IP. And that is a goal of the prize. We can't necessarily guarantee that that researcher will be available, but we definitely have the labs kind of trying to make those connections. So what if you are a winner and you're moving forward through the prize process, we will be making efforts to connect you directly with the researchers that developed the IP, or at least are very knowledgeable about the IP, so that you do have access to them, at least to work a little bit with them and to ask questions too.
And so there is another question. Money is allotted. The money allotted is small in comparison to what it will take to commercialize these. How long is the agreement to allow for finding funding for maturation? So we'd hope that you know, throughout your submission, you're kind of showing that you have the resources and you have the capabilities to commercialize these. And you've got some time during those submissions to start to find that funding. But I think the specifics of how long your agreement is with the National Lab will depend on the Technology Transfer Office and your discussions and negotiations with them specifically. As kind of like the prize team, I don't think we are eligible to discuss on those negotiations and, you know, what is fair game and what isn't. They would know that better, and that's what they do day in and day out. And so there's a question from Jonathan. Can there be multiple winners with the same IP? Debbie, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. I think we will know when we get there. I think the idea is that we probably want a lot of different teams working on a lot of different IP. But if there are two strong teams that are interested in the same IP, it might be possible that in the early phases, potentially we would award a couple teams to be working on the same IP. But I would suspect that as we start moving through the prize and we get closer to the end, we probably would pick one team to, you know, take the IP all the way to the end. Because we really don't, I mean, although this is a prize competition, we don't necessarily want, you know, two competitors competing against one IP solution, because then we will only get one IP solution probably, you know, commercialized at the end. We'd like to see more IP technologies commercialized through the process. But I do think it's going to probably be dependent on the teams and which IP they pick and things like that.
So thank you, Debbie. There's another question. Does this prize program include any vouchers to enable participants to receive support from connectors in the American Made Network? So we do not have any vouchers for this prize specifically, but you know, we do have a handful of other prizes that do include vouchers. So feel free to, you know, not to say please don't participate in this one, but please be sure to review other prize programs that we have at American Made and see if one of those is also a good fit for you as well. And then there's a question from Carolyn. Where can we find other research that might be for consideration at NREL? So I'm not entirely sure what the question is. If you're if that's more directed towards available IP that's available, I would point you to the lab partnering service website, and that is where all the national labs post all available IP that's available for licensing. So I would say that's probably your best bet to see what other areas of research, in this case, NREL specifically, is doing, and where you could find potential solutions that might benefit your current product offerings or supplement them, or something that you just want to start off the ground with and commercialize from the very get-go. Are there any other questions? I don't see anything at the moment in the Q&A chat box. Please use the Q&A chat box to put your questions in. see. There aren't any questions. I will give you all some time back. Oh, there was a question in the chat. Are students eligible to participate in this competition? I would say yes, students are eligible, but they are encouraged to read through the rules document and the eligibility section to determine if they meet all of the requirements. There's another new question in the Q&A. Will there be competition or presentation days at Greentown Labs or others? There will not be any presentations. I don't know if I fully understand that question. Debbie, do you have a different answer? You're on mute, Debbie, if you were trying to answer that question.
Sorry, Noah, I got kicked out of my room, so I didn't hear the question.
Will there be competition or presentation days at Greentown Labs or others?
Oh, good question. That's a good question. I don't think for this one we have plans for like a demo day or presentation day, but that doesn't mean that something might not come up. We may do something like that.
Thank you, Debbie. Any other last minute questions? If not, again, I'll make sure to give you guys all some time back to yourselves. Doesn't look like there's anything coming in at the last minute. So thank you again for participating. We really appreciate you joining us today. And please, again, feel free to reach out to us at labmatch@nrel.gov if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.